Hello everyone and welcome back to Gaming News, where we cover all things in video games. And today we have a bit of a lineup that I am going to go through relatively quickly because I don't have tons to expand on a multitude of these articles. So we're just going to get right into it. The first topic I would like to cover is regarding Stadia, which has had certainly some ups and downs over the last, year or two that it's been out to the public. And I came across this article on Games Industry Biz a few days ago. And that is Stadia is introducing a 70% revenue share for Pro subscription. Google is introducing a new revenue share model for its Stadia Pro subscription, which will give partner developers an additional source of income each month. The scheme will come into effect by the end of July, after which any title, including in Stadia Pro, which gives subscribers access to a library of games for a monthly fee, a share of the money generated by the service. It was announced today during a Stadia keynote at this week's Google for Games Summit, in which the company described it as an industry-leading share. 70% of all monthly revenue generated by the Pro subscription will be split between partners based upon how many session days players have spent on their games. This is actually kind of an interesting idea, given that at one time Twitch had a feature in which whatever video game you were playing had an option underneath the stream where you could buy the game through Twitch in order to play it yourself, which I thought was a fantastic idea, and I didn't know what the kickback would be for the partnered streamers nor for the affiliate streamers, and I don't know how long it lasted and or if that feature is still available but only to certain people. And I thought this would have been a really good way to help boost the sales of games that people are really enjoying. If you're watching a video game on Twitch, it is kind of promotion for that game, and it would stand to reason that you might be able to get a small percentage of every sale that you generate based on you playing that game. And for Stadia to introduce something similar to that, an affiliate marketing program, I feel like that's actually going to bring in more customers, because there's the availability of making some profit there on top of any other revenue stream that you've already set up. So I think this is a great idea. So I thought this was a cool addition that came across my newsfeed, and I wanted to let you guys know. The second topic I would like to cover today is Tencent. So, Tencent wants to buy Crysis and CryEngine dev Crytek for over $350 million. Tencent is attempting to purchase Crysis developer Crytek for over $300 million, according to a new report from German publication BILD. BILD journalist Julian Rupke says Tencent wants to buy the game and software developer via a European subsidiary, and indicated the move has left multiple employees concerned that Crytek could be used by Tencent for non-commercial purposes. Although Crytek is best known for working on franchises like Crysis, Hunt Showdown, The Climb, and developing the Cry game engine, the company also supplies military simulation programs to armed forces in the West. Tencent already owns a number of notable video game companies, including League of Legends maker Riot Games and Clash of Clans developer Supercell. The Chinese technology company has also been opening its own studios, and most recently cut the ribbon on a Seattle studio to create AAA games. Nyko Partners senior analyst Daniel Ahmed indicated there's some level of truth to the BILD report, but noted it's not a secret that Crytek has been in discussions with a number of buyers. Now, again, we have talked about Tencent on here before, where it is trying to become a big giant by investing in all of these big name companies and getting development software and being able to do things, differently or better, or to turn a profit. I mean, we don't ultimately know what the goals are with Tencent or any of the details of these deals, but I find this very interesting because you're getting not only like the developer, but you're also going to get a full working engine that has created a number of different well-designed games as far as I understand. Keep in mind, I have not played Crisis or Hunt or The Climb, so I can't speak to how good the engine is. I am not a programmer. I'm certainly not qualified to talk about how good this is in comparison to the Unity game engine or anything like that, but it is an interesting move, and if Crytek was already in the market for buyers, it doesn't surprise me that Tencent would step up and put a bid in because of their previous track record. So I'm curious to see what happens with this information and if Tencent, wins the bid or not. If Crytek ends up being under their banner among all of the other titles and studios that they already have, and we'll just have to wait and see what happens with this particular situation. Next up, we are going to talk about CD Projekt Red. So I came across a Shack News article a little bit earlier on and wanted to mention it just in case it was missed, which is that CD Projekt Red acquisition of Digital Scapes and opening of Vancouver studio is now official. So we have previously talked about this on a video, so I will make sure to link to that. But CD Projekt Red has now officially acquired Digital Scapes, which will be the Vancouver wing of the studio. This acquisition was first revealed back in March via the investors' relation page, but has now been made official. The acquisition of Digital Scapes and its rebranding to CD Projekt Red Vancouver is now official, according to a tweet from the CD Projekt Investor Relations Twitter account on July 8, 2021. News of the acquisition was first announced back on March 30th. The Vancouver division of CD Projekt Red will join the 3 existing teams, which are based in Warsaw, Krakow, and Wrocław. The press release states that all 4 will jointly work on the studio's future releases. We're happy to see this transaction through to a successful conclusion, says Adam Kaczynski, president and joint CEO of CD Projekt Red. The experienced Digital Scapes crew has a strong foundation upon which to build a much larger CD Projekt Red Vancouver team. Kaczynski's statement seems to suggest that this is just the beginning of the Vancouver team. No doubt the additional talent will assist with CDPR's plans to work on multiple AAA projects at once. It does, of course, talk a little bit more about Cyberpunk 2077 and how it was riddled with problems at the beginning and how many sales they had in that time, even though there were a ton of refunds and whatnot. And now that Cyberpunk has been re-released on the Sony PlayStation stores, that people have bought into the game again and are willing to try it out, and also knowing that if they bought it through PlayStation 4, that they would be able to get a free upgrade to PlayStation 5. Anyways, the article does go on to talk a little bit more about digital scapes in relation to Cyberpunk 2077, and we may actually see more patches to Cyberpunk, and we may also see that free DLC, hopefully before the end of the year, that we were promised as sort of, payment for letting the community down on launch of how buggy the game was. So I am very excited to see what comes out of the Vancouver studio and what other sort of titles they're going to work on and how that's going to affect their current titles. Because also remember that the Witcher series did not start off on a very good foot either, and now it's very well received by people, but it didn't used to be that way. And I feel like Cyberpunk will probably end up being in the same boat where it'll take time before people think about coming back to the game and giving it a shot. Because again, the story itself and a lot of the elements included in it are extremely well done, and I do really love the game, even though I only gave it a 7.5 in my review. So take that for what you will. The next thing I would like to discuss is actually a tweet that led to reading an article post. So this is regarding YouTube gaming streamers, and YouTube gaming is releasing a couple of features that are now available to everybody that streams on the platform. And in this case, they are talking about sub-only chat, clips, and polls. And I do have the article open here where they go into more detail about these features. So the 3 highly requested product updates are clips, subscriber only chat, and polls. And then it goes into detail about clips allowing viewers to select a 5 to 60 second segment of your content, very similar to Twitch. Although the native clip section is 30 seconds on Twitch, and you have availability to move it up to a minute as well. So YouTube has jumped onto this particular train where you can clip your content, which I think is fantastic. And then they go into detail about subscriber only mode, and it looked like there were a couple of other features in there as well. And I believe that that will be a fantastic way to protect you from potential harassment or anything that happens throughout your stream. So you'll be able to do your webinars and your presentations without having a very crappy chat. And you will now be able to put in polls into your chat as well, which is another fantastic addition if you are choosing the next series of Let's Plays to do. It will help you be able to get the sense of what your chatters are looking for in terms of the next game that you are going to play. What I would like to know is if they're going to work on their moderation system, because right at the moment, Twitch is still the top dog, despite the fact that there are a number of pressing issues that Twitch doesn't necessarily address until much later, or they just simply don't address at all, and there isn't a lot of transparency there. And while YouTube is not exactly the shining beacon when it comes to some of its transparency practices over the last few years, I feel like these are good additions to the YouTube streaming platform. I just wish that their moderation content was a little bit more thought out, especially since you have to be mindful of the fact that all ages use YouTube for content. You consider that your kids are watching Roblox videos and Minecraft videos, and you don't necessarily have the easiest way to curate streaming chats when you are a moderator there. So this is something to sort of keep an eye out for. And I only see good things happening because of these additions to YouTube. So good for them for hopping on the bandwagon and trying to make things better for their streamers. I feel like that will help force Twitch into a position of being better than what they have been in the past. The next topic I'd like to cover is not directly gaming, but it is something that we have previously discussed in terms of the possibility of finding another revenue stream and how it sort of loosely relates to video gaming in a sense, and that is Twitter is shutting down fleets. Its expiring tweets feature. So fleets are kind of like your Instagram stories and like your Facebook little videos and whatnot. Twitter had tried to jump onto the bandwagon and do these little stories that people would put together that would be like a minute long or however long it would be for people to consume. And a lot of Twitter users did not like the addition, and this just goes to show you that this was definitely a misstep on Twitter's part because they say in this article, starting on August 3rd, users will instead just see active spaces, Twitter's live audio chat rooms, at the top of their timelines instead of having fleets. And the reason is the tweet formula is shutting down due to low usage after launching just 8 months ago. So people just did not adopt this new thing because they were already doing all of these short video content pieces on other platforms, and it just did not work well to have yet another one for people to sort of jump on board and implement. So Twitter's decision to axe fleets is not just an admission that the feature didn't work, but that the company still hasn't figured out how to get people tweeting more. For years, Twitter struggled to get new users to post regularly and not just consume other people's tweets. Fleets was its shot at using stories, the popular social media format invented by Snapchat and further popularized by Instagram, to lower the pressure around tweeting. We hoped fleets would help more people feel comfortable joining the conversation on Twitter. But in the time since we introduced fleets to everyone, we haven't seen an increase in the number of new people joining the conversation with fleets like we had hoped. So, this is why they are getting rid of them as of August 3rd. So, they did tweet about it and said, we're removing them, we're working on some new stuff, we're sorry, or you're welcome, which I kind of thought was a really funny statement to make on the platform. So, we'll see what they decide to do with it. But then there was something additionally about Twitter that I came across, which is that you can now change who can reply to you even after you tweet. It used to be that you would tweet something and you had to make sure to set the privacy settings before you hit the send button, before you hit the tweet button. And they did make it so that you could edit your tweets as long as you were then subscribed to Twitter, that you would be able to do it. But they did not allow it for the mass public because Twitter needs to still make money. And this just goes to show that people really wanted to be able to change who could answer their tweets after they realize this might not be something that I want everybody to respond to, and curate those answers so that you are not negatively targeted by some kind of harassment. They did show a couple of screenshots with these features of what, it used to be like, and I only see good things out of making sure that this is a way that you can protect yourself on the platform, and I am completely all for this. So the final thing that I'd like to discuss is the thing that everybody has been talking about all day today, which is Valve's new Steam Deck. Here is the new Steam Deck. This is what this looks like. I'm not crazy about it, to be honest with you. I mean, I like the idea of it, but I'm not crazy about its physical design. Just as much as I was not very crazy about how small the Joy-Cons were for the Nintendo Switch, which is obviously being somewhat emulated here. But I don't like the positioning. I don't know how I feel about the trackpad being so close like that. I don't know. I feel like that would be awkward to get used to for a while. But anyways, Valve has unveiled the Steam Deck, its portable PC gaming machine. Like the Switch, it has support for a dock that will connect the device to a TV. You have to buy the dock separately. You can play games from your Steam library or on the machine. The price will start at $400 with 64 gigabytes of internal storage. A $530 model has 256 gigabytes on an SSD. That is kind of huge, holy god. And a $650 model has 512 gigabytes of SSD internal storage and anti-glare etched glass. Systems will start shipping this December in North America and Europe. Valve has worked with hardware before, notably with the Steam Machine PCs and the Valve Index VR platform. Along with the usual controller buttons like 2 analog sticks, shoulder pads, and 4 face buttons, the Steam Deck also has 2 touch-sensitive pads that players can use to replicate mouse movements, which can be important for many PC games. The placement of the analog sticks is interesting. Usually these are above or below the direction pad and the face buttons. Here, the analog sticks are next to them, close to the display. So this shows this new platform, which I feel like it will potentially take off and be a decent competitor to the Nintendo Switch. Although the Nintendo Switch does have a large lineup of games and is very successful as a platform and extremely useful for portability and just being a mobile platform that is comfortable for people to use. And at first, I struggled to use the Joy-Cons and to get used to it, but I have found that I actually like the ability to take off the controllers from the side and just use the controllers and have the display on a television to play various games without hindering anything like getting a COVID vaccine and not being able to use a standard keyboard and mouse for what I normally do because of the movement of the arm and how much that hurt. And the Switch allowed me the ability to still play games while I wasn't able to do much else for a couple of days. This Steam Deck does not have an ability to take off the side controller, so it stands to reason that if you're going to be able to dock this thing to play on a television, that you're also going to need to buy an external controller, or they're going to have to give details about connecting any of the controllers you already have with Steam's functionality of recognizing PlayStation, Xbox, and generic controllers to use for certain video games. and maybe to put it in that big screen mode to do that more easily. So I wonder how they're going to implement that sort of thing and how it's going to be useful for the docking, but this is clearly to be competition. And if this is successful, that means that people who have hundreds or thousands of games through Steam are going to be more easily able to play these games without needing to sit directly at their PCs. So this is actually kind of a good thing, and it's got some decent storage, and I do want to know more details about if you're going to be able to expand or buy other SSDs that would be compatible with this Steam Deck, and how much space you're able to add to it, and just to see the quality of the games and how some of those more intensive games run on this thing. I don't fully know the specs of it, so I'm very curious about this whole thing, and I have linked in the cards a video by IGN, also released today, that covers some of the most frequently answered questions. And there's a number of them. It's only 8 minutes long, so definitely check that out if you want to know more details about this Steam Deck. But I see this as a good thing and a good step in the right direction for Valve to allow their games to be more portable along with your family sharing and whatnot. I see this as a fantastic addition to their business, and I can't wait to see more details about it. Anyways, that's all I have for you guys today. I hope that you have enjoyed the topics covered today. Let me know in the comments or in Discord what you think about Stadia, what you think about the CD Projekt Red or Tencent, or the Twitter changes and the removal of fleets, thank God, and what you guys think about the Steam Deck, which is clearly the big powerhouse news piece of the day and of the week. So let me know your thoughts, as I said, and I will definitely see you guys in the next video. You have a fantastic day.